Hello everyone, my name is Satyam Shivaach and I am working as a legal intern at LEXIS and Company. And in this video, we will discuss about the law which deals with one of the most important sector not only in India but around the world, and that is the healthcare sector. Health sector is one of the most concerned sector of all time. Article 20 Clause 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and for the well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowed, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. Moreover, according to Article 21 of our Indian Constitution, says no person shall be deprived of his or her life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Now let's see what are the laws which deals with the healthcare sector in India. For this discussion, I will divide it into 5 sections, that is the law applicable to hospitals. Then there is law which are governing the qualification, practice and conduct of professionals. Then the law governing to sales. Another is the storage of drugs and medication. Then there is last laws governing management of patient. And starting with the law applicable to hospital. In this section we will discuss with the law governing hospital, starting off with the Companies Act. This act was enacted to protect the interest of the shareholder, creditor and to help the development of companies in India on healthy lines, along with to help the attainment of the ultimate end of the social and economic policy of the government. Another main objective was to equip the government with necessary power to intervene directly into the affairs of the company in the public interest. This act is here because the hospitals sometimes are registered as a company and will fall under the Companies Act. Then there is Indian Electricity Rule 1956. This act provides for the law relating to the generation, transmission and distribution of electricity. This law is applicable here because the hospital or any other medical care facility use the electricity and comes under this act. Then there is the Delhi Nursing Home Registration Act 1953. This act provides for the registration and inspection of nursing homes in the state of Delhi and for certain purposes connected therewith. Then there is the Clinical Establishment Registration and Regulation Bill 2007. This bill and rules seek to register and regulate and set all standards for clinical establishment. A clinical establishment is defined as a hospital, maternity home, nursing home or any similar facility with beds. The definition also includes laboratory that carries out pathological, bacteriological and other diagnostic service. The central government shall establish a national council and its main function should include prescribing standards for clinical establishment and maintaining a register of clinical establishment. Every clinical establishment will need to register, and the bill provides for both provisional registration and permanent registration upon satisfaction of prescribed condition. Now let's come to the law which are governing the qualification, practice and conduct of the professionals. Starting with the Medical Council Act 1956, as it is the most important act, which provides for the medical practitioner and provides for the reconstitutional of the Medical Council of India. Moreover, it provides for the maintenance of the medical register for India and for matter connected therewith. Then coming to the next act, which is Indian Medical Degree Act 1960. This act regulates the grant of title implying qualification in the Western medical science and the assumption and use of the unqualified person of such title. Coming to the next act, that is Indian Nursing Council Act 1947. This is an expedient to constitute an Indian Nursing Council in order to establish a uniform standard of training for nurses, midwives and health visitors. Then coming to the last act of this section, that is the Dentist Act 1948. This act provides for the provisions for regulation of the professional of dentistry and for the purpose which is constituted in dental councils. Coming to the next section, that is the law governing to sales, storage of drugs and safe medication. In this, the first act is the Blood Bank Regulation under Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1999. These rules provide the regulation for the blood bank and requirement for the collection, storage and processing. Moreover, distributing of whole human blood components by blood bank, and manufacture of blood products. Then the next act is the Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940. This act regulates the import, manufacture, distribution and sale of the drugs and cosmetics, whereas it is expedient to regulate the import, manufacture, distribution and sale of drugs and cosmetics. Then there is the Narcotics and Psychotropic Substance Act. This act is consolidate and amend the law relating to the narcotic drug and was to make stringent provisions for the control and regulation of operation relating to narcotics, drugs, and psychotropic substances. It was to provide for the forfeiture of property derived from or used in illicit traffic in narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, to implement the provisions of the International Convention on Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substances, and for matter connected therewith. Then the next act is Pharmacy Act 1948. This act is expedient to make better provision for the regulation of the profession and practice of pharmacy, and also for the purpose to constitute the Pharmacy Council. Then the next is the Sale of Good Act 1930. This act defines and amends the law relating to the sales of good. Then the next act is the Drug Control Act 1950. This act provides for the control of sales, supply and distribution of drugs around the country. Then coming to the next section, that is the law governing management of patient. In this section, the first act is the Mental Health Act 1987. This act was made to consolidate and amend the law relating to the treatment and care of mentally ill person, and also to make better provision with respect to their property and affairs, and for matter connected therewith. Then the next act is Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rule 2003. These rules were made to provide for the regulation for the composition of district level committee and qualification for the members. Then the next act is the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. This act provides for the termination of certain pregnancies by registered medical practitioner and for matter connected therewith or incidental thereto. Then the next act is Transplantation of Human Organ Act 1994. This is a very crucial act as it provides for the regulation of removal, storage and transplantation of human organs for therapeutic purposes and for the prevention of commercial dealing in human organs and for matter connected therewith. It also provides for the regulation of therapeutic purposes for the prevention of the commercial dealing in human organ. Then the last act of this series is the PNDT Act 1994 and Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Prohibition of Sex Selection Rule 1996, which was further amended in 2002. This act provides for the prohibition of sex selection before or after conception, or for regulation or prenatal diagnostic techniques for the purpose of detecting genetic abnormality or metabolic disorder or chromosomal abnormalities of certain congenital malfunctions of sex linked disorder, or for the prevention of their misuse of sex determination, which leads to female feticide and for matter connected therewith. Thank you for watching.